The Grafana setup struggle. Will my free home SOC lab work? CyberDefend lab, episode number 2. My name is KD. Building a free home security operations center sounds awesome, right? But what happens when things don't go as planned? What if your logs won't show up where they're supposed to show up? What if the other thing isn't sending anything? What if you follow the steps perfectly and still can't see the results? That's exactly what happened to me. In episode number 1, I laid out the foundation of my home SOC lab using AWS, Ubuntu, Rsyslog, Fluent Bit, and Grafana. The goal: to build a lightweight SOC simulation for log aggregation, monitoring, and analysis, all within free tier cloud limits. But in this episode, I hit my first major roadblock. Will I figure this out? Let's dive in. The plan seemed solid until it wasn't. I started with a simple plan. Rsyslog would collect and forward system logs. FluentBit would aggregate and process them. Grafana would visualize everything. Easy, right? Well, let's just say reality had other plans. Where are my logs? Everything was installed and configured, but when I opened Grafana, nothing. No logs, no errors, just blank. I checked everything step by step. FluentBit was running, Rsyslog was forwarding, and Grafana was up, yet my logs were missing. Something was clearly wrong. I needed to find the issue fast. This isn't just about fixing Grafana. It's about mastering log pipelines, troubleshooting under pressure, and preparing for real-world cybersecurity challenges. If we get this right, we're one step closer to building a fully functional, professional-grade home SOC lab. And that means we get daily and weekly hands-on experience with tools and techniques used by top security teams worldwide. Let's fix it and take our SOC skills to the next level. What if I can't fix this? No logs mean no visualization. No visualization means no monitoring. And no monitoring means my SOC lab is dead before it even starts. No logs equals no monitoring equals no security. If I can't get Grafana to display logs, then everything else, log analysis, security monitoring, anomaly detection, is useless. My SOC lab would be nothing more than a bunch of installed tools with no real functionality. Let's solve this. Alright, time to troubleshoot. Here's what I did next. Step number 1. Is FluentBit even receiving logs? I checked if FluentBit was running properly. Here's the code that I used. Good news, it was active and running. Next, I checked if FluentBit was actually receiving logs from Rsyslog. Here's the code that I used. I ran a query to see if the test log appeared in FluentBit's processing pipeline. Here's the code that I used. Yes, FluentBit was receiving logs. That meant the issue was somewhere between FluentBit and Grafana. Step number 2. Is FluentBit forwarding logs to Grafana? I checked my FluentBit configuration file to make sure logs were being sent to Grafana. Looks fine, but just to be sure, I manually tried to send a log entry to Grafana. Here's the code that I used. I got error, unauthorized 401. What? Grafana is rejecting my logs. Step 3. Why is Grafana rejecting my logs? I ran another check to see if Grafana was even healthy. Here's the code that I use. This confirmed 100% that Grafana was up and running. So why was it rejecting my logs? Possible reasons: authentication issue, incorrect HTTP endpoint, missing a required plugin in Grafana. Step number 4, checking authentication issues. I checked if Grafana required authentication for API requests. Here's the code that I use. Aha! It turns out Grafana enforces authentication for API endpoints by default. Step number 5, next steps. At this point, I knew what was wrong, but I didn't have a solution yet. I needed to figure out how to properly authenticate FluentBit with Grafana's API. Should I disable authentication just for log forwarding? Should I configure API keys? What's the best security practice? The struggle continues. So here's where we are. Rsyslog is forwarding logs. Check. Fluent Bit is receiving and processing them. Check. But Grafana is blocking them. The good news, we found the problem. The bad news, we still need to solve it. What's next? Episode number 3. In the next episode, I'll break down exactly how I fixed this Grafana authentication issue. Once we solve this, we'll finally have a working log visualization set up. Remember, this isn't just about fixing my home SOC lab. It's about learning real-world troubleshooting skills. Because in cybersecurity, things will break. Subscribe now so you don't miss episode number 3, where we crack the Grafana authentication puzzle and bring this SOC lab to life. We will get there. And once we do, I'll share the full step-by-step guide so you can build your own free SOC lab at home. Let's solve this together. Drop a comment. Have you ever struggled with Grafana, Fluent Bit, or log forwarding? How did you fix it? Let's figure this out together. Join the journey. Subscribe to subscribe to CyberDefend Lab. Follow along as I build a free home SOC center. Learn real-world troubleshooting. Well, see you in episode number 3. Let's get this working together. Once again, my name is KD.